Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of StarCraft Inc. As you can see, there is a huge upgrade in the visual effects and the production value of my pro game replays. So anytime I'm casting a pro level replay, such as EGIdra and ROOTMinigun, ROOTMinigun in the top right and EGIdra in the bottom left, anytime I cast a game of high caliber like this one, I will be including these extra little features like the player cams in the bottom left and bottom right here, and I hope you guys like that feature. Also, I will be including the matchups and databases at the beginning like you saw at the beginning of this game. So hopefully those little touches can, grab me a few more subscribers, a few more views here and there, because I think production quality is important and I like to bring you the best of what I can do, and the more I cast, the better I get at different functions and features, and I'm trying to improve the longer I go. So it would be silly to move backwards in quality. I don't want to be one of those guys who gets lazy and starts neglecting what he does, and I'm not one of those. So we did see ROOTMinigun actually kind of doing a little poking and prodding here. He knows that EGIdra's micro is strong and that he will catch that probe if he lets him. But he came in, he saw no pool, he knows there's no early rushing. The pool does just now go down at 14 supply for Idra, and ROOTMinigun wisely blocking the expansion. Nothing's coming to try to take that yet, and the trademark 2 drone from Idra, he brings 2 so he can stop that silly probe from blocking this expansion, and that is usually just thwarted by dropping a pylon like we are seeing right here from ROOTMinigun. And from ROOTMinigun, he is opting to wall off, as you always should against Zerg, with his pylon in the reverse position, not including the pylon as part of his wall because that can be sniped by roaches, and putting his first gateway down. The gateway now finishing a 1 gas at the beginning, which is very standard. A little late on his cyber core. This cyber core could have gone down already, but I think he was microing over here instead. He is actually managing to delay Idra's expansion for quite a while. Idra would have liked to get it down a long time ago, I'm sure. If he can't get it down, he's going to end up starting Ling speed, I'm sure, but Lings are coming out now and doing a great job still stopping him from taking that, and the hatch does go down. Ling speed will now start more than likely as soon as Idra saves up another 100. Yeah, we do see a drone in ROOTMinigun's base, and Minigun will not be able to place down any kind of tech structure until he can get that down. And you can tell that he wants to go for tech rather than like a 4-gate or 3-gate, because he does have the double gas already. So he wants that probe out of his base. A stalker will be... oh, a sentry. It is a sentry. So he does have the zealot in the space. It is on hold position. Guys, always put your zealot in the wedge on hold position. Otherwise, Lings will lure it out of that space. And I'm sure all of you guys who play Protoss do know that. But he is going to get a sentry, and he's going to come here and he's going to kill this scout, and he will be able to drop his tech. He is, however, managing to spend his money still, making sure he is buying tons of probes so that he can... this does look like a 3-gate expand so far, I think, although he's forced to do that simply because he couldn't drop his tech. So what are we seeing? We are seeing 3 gates. He does wait until that drone goes down to make that decision, or at least to... oh, we are seeing 4 gates. 4 gates. Idra does think that it's an expand because of the number of sentries that came out. It might still be an expand. I don't know. Who knows? But an Overlord is coming over here to the right side. We'll be able to scout ROOTMinigun's base quite thoroughly, seeing as how all there is sentry, no stalkers out. He is now chronoing Warp Tech and not getting anything more out of his gateways. Probably won't until Warp Tech is finished, but we'll see. Over here on Idra's side, Idra is starting to saturate the second base. Not quite fully saturated yet, but not really saturated this base either. We are going to see roaches now, and like I said, Ling speed did get started. It's on its way, not quite done yet, and there's still a lot of harvesters on gas. Guys, that is one big sign that a player will not maintain Ling builds, is when they stay on the gas geyser. However, now he is pulling, so maybe he will stay on Lings. That was a very odd thing that he just did. Where did he spend his gas? Okay, now I'm confused. He should have more than 12 gas. Oh, he spent it on... I'm stupid. There he goes. Roaches. Okay, so he's going for a very early burst roach push. And sentries are very good at like pushing roaches back, but they're not very good at killing roaches. And I don't think this, even a sentry count like this, will be able to deal with that many roaches. And they won't be able to run either. That's a lot of roaches, and ROOTMinigun cannot stop them. He can get away with force fields there, but now that was actually some good force fields there. A little bit of overlap there. I think he could have done that with 3. But you know, good enough. He got away with his units. He put some pressure on EGIdra. I think EGIdra's got a lot of lings on the field now. He's going to be going all the way. A lot of roaches crossing the field as well as lings getting in front. Going to get a free sentry. That sentry does go down, and some damage on the zealots, allowing the other lings to catch up. Force fields forced by ROOTMinigun, and EGIdra's roaches are now catching up. ROOTMinigun does not have the unit count to stop this, but he can delay it. Now all his force fields have been used on holding the attack back, but once it engages, he won't have enough force fields to actually cut it up, although he does have quite a few more. There are a lot of roaches. I think now he is capable of stopping it, now that the stalker count has gotten to what it is. He needs to micro this a little bit better, although EGIdra's not even watching this attack. He just A-attacked this. More lings on the way, and they won't be able to do anything now that the roaches are not there to tank damage for them. They might be able to pick off some sentry, though. That sentry almost goes down. It was caught in front. And now it's fine, it's safe, it's dandy. It's got a smile on its face, ladies and gentlemen, and EGIdra will pull back with his units. Now, just so you guys know, while I'm casting these games, I do not have the player cams up. That is a post-production thing, so don't expect me to comment on what you see in the player cams, because I cannot actually see them while I'm casting. So it's mostly just for you guys, a little bit of extra, you know, in case I miss things. Hopefully the player cams catch them, but you know, because you can only watch so many things while you're casting, and as I'm casting I'm thinking about things. You know, my brain's all over the place, so I can't always pay attention to everything. It's kind of like actually playing the game. You try to be everywhere, but you can only do so much, and that's why players catch you off guard. So keep my eye on the mini-map the best I can with my map hacksers, and well, this is what you get. We do see another hatchery coming down. This is the 3rd, and more roaches. Not much more roaches, just one. It's kind of odd, but we do see weapons 1 coming out. Which weapons players usually opt to go for weapons when it comes to roach versus Protoss instead of armor. I think the reasoning behind that is because the idea of roaches is to really overwhelm your opponent and just trade armies over and over and over again. And the more damage you can do, the better, because roaches are dirt cheap, and then you can replace them, and the Protoss cannot replace his army as easily or for the same cost. So if you can slam your army into the Protoss army and kill a lot, and then just do it again and again and again, eventually you'll wear them down. It's a stamina thing, and that's really how you play roaches. And then a nice tech switch into corruptors or infestors is always good. But this nice little, I like this wall. A lot of Protoss players do this. This is the Artosis path, from what I'm told, and block it off with 2 pylons because it prevents ling run-bys. And EGIdra definitely would have tried that had these pylons not have been here. So beautiful placement. And this is apparently John the cameraman's common knowledge pathway. Everybody seems to know about that one. But yeah, no, ROOTMinigun just kind of trying to take map control. This is a dangerous thing to do, leaving your units in the mid-ground, because Zerg is so mobile. And if you get caught out here, you could be in some serious trouble. But the big sentry count from ROOTMinigun will really help him protect his units. But we are seeing quite a large army here from EGIdra. And we do see Colossus coming out for ROOTMinigun with Thermal Lance. And I like EGIdra's scouting ahead. He sends single lings to scout around before he does any kind of real push, and the reason being is if he gets too far ahead of himself and he gets caught by force fields, he could lose his entire army and not do a thing about it until he gets some sort of burrow. I think he doesn't have burrow yet, but he does have the roach speed, which is pretty mandatory if you're going to go mass roach like this. And the army does engage. You saw EGIdra set up in advance with the concave. Look at this surround that EGIdra has put himself in. Kind of wasteful force fields that overlap quite a bit, but that was panic mode for sure. But really well played by ROOTMinigun. 1 Colossus in the middle as well as an Immortal for some firepower. And I don't know if Thermal Lance is not done yet, but he's still sending his Colossus out into the field. and that was awfully brave, but it definitely worked for him. Now we're seeing that explosive production that roaches can really do, and the only way for Protoss to really fight that is to take minimum casualties in each engagement and build up that Colossus death ball. But if he starts to lose a lot of units in each engagement, he will be overrun. These roaches are going to come around the back, and that will force ROOTMinigun to back up with some units and save his pylons as well as his natural, and that will leave this base exposed. So this is a good distraction by EGIdra, a very well thought out play, and it will supply block ROOTMinigun if both those pylons go down. That sentry, I would have liked to see at force field just to push them back. Now, as you see, ROOTMinigun is supply blocked. Come on, no force field. And a lot of Protoss aren't getting blink these days, and I don't know why. They get lots and lots of stalkers, but no blink. Now, there you go. Blink just starting. Weapons 2 starting as well. We are seeing weapons 2 from EGIdra as well as a spire and a 2-prong. So as he was distracting ROOTMinigun with the Artosis tunnel, he was coming from the bottom right with roaches as well. Now EGIdra is also taking his 4th, and this is kind of a sneaky 4th. Most players tend to take the gold as their 4th. The rocks are already broken, and he will be able to take that whenever he feels he's ready. He has tons of money in the bank. He is a little bit gas locked. He's trying to put the pressure on ROOTMinigun, keep him contained, and is working quite well. I'd like to see ROOTMinigun take this soon, and it looks like he's setting up for it, but these roaches are going to wrap around. This army is not mobile enough to deal with the 2 prongs that that EGIdra is throwing at him. It looks like EGIdra's going to move out with his roaches again, but no, he just sits on his creep. And this creep spread is becoming dangerous. It is getting very close to ROOTMinigun's 3rd. And when that starts happening, if he ever loses the 3rd, creep can start to grow over top of the space where the 3rd is. And when that happens, he has to wait to replace his Nexus, and that is so frustrating. We are seeing a lot of Corruptors coming out for EGIdra, and I hope he's still producing Colossus. And the problem with that is those Corruptors can kill the Colossus so fast before they even do a lot of damage to the roaches, because the roaches have so much health. And the roaches end up surviving, and then a good grand worth of each, like a couple thousand gas, a couple thousand minerals just down the shitter as the Corruptors destroy those Colossus. But at the same time, these are wasted after the Colossus are dead, so it could go either way. Now this Colossus might be free for EGIdra. EGIdra's not even watching this army. Had he known that that Colossus was naked, he would have been good. Force fields go down, and look at the Corruptors just rip up those Colossus, absolutely destroying them. And like I said, these are now useless, and they're just there to die. But ROOTMinigun does want to kill them because those can very quickly become Broodlords. We are seeing a Hydra out for EGIdra now, and this is becoming a very tense game. The first player to lose an expansion will really fall behind drastically, and either player could win this at any time. As soon as one player loses their army one-sidedly, that is also going to spell the end of a game. Now, EGIdra might be able to catch a probe transfer. He's not going to catch that probe transfer. The Colossus count is shrinking for ROOTMinigun. He needs to micro this properly. He needs to use his blink. His force fields have been pretty clutch so far. Blinking your entire army back like that is somewhat wasteful. I don't agree with it. It's better to blink back single stalkers, the damaged ones, and you can really abuse blink that way. However, what blink did do for him there was allow his Colossus to get a few extra shots off through the force fields. These force fields are pretty good. I'd say those are pretty key there. The Zerg is being attacked through. Look at EGIdra does this all the time. He just smashes his units through the force fields. He doesn't back up. He needs to back up and wait for those to disappear, and he'd still have an army. Does not even GG. What a drama queen. That was his own fault. EGIdra losing the game to lack of micro. That was clearly an A attack, and I will rage at him for that because he claims imbalance, but that was simply his own stupidity. EGIdra, please learn to micro, and you will win even more than you already do. This is StarCraft Inc. I'm SSN Incarnum. I hope you enjoyed this game.